Welcome to Fantastic Food Files, where we prove Houston didn't just launch rockets, it launched world-famous flavors. You see this sizzling platter and think, Tex-Mex. But what if I told you it was born from a bankruptcy and a brilliant act of restaurant theater? You taste this and think, Cajun. But the real story involves Vietnamese refugees, a delicious accident, and a complete reinvention of a Louisiana classic. Today, we are fact-checking the wild origin stories of 10 foods you probably didn't know came from Houston. We're digging into the bankruptcies that sparked empires and the happy accidents that created legends. By the end of this, you'll see Houston in a whole new light. This isn't just a list, it's a testament to a city built on grit, fusion, and flavor. Stick around, because some of these stories are true heavyweights you won't want to miss. Gulf-heavy gumbo. We begin with a dish that sparks arguments across the Gulf Coast, gumbo. Now, before our friends in Louisiana light up the comments, let's be clear. Louisiana is the undisputed birthplace of gumbo, a culinary masterpiece born from French, African, Spanish, and Native American traditions. But Houston, in its typical fashion, took that perfect foundation and supercharged it. While traditional Louisiana gumbos are often defined by their thickener, be it a dark roux, filet, or okra, and might feature chicken and sausage or a careful selection of seafood, Houston's version reflects its identity as a sprawling port city with direct access to the Gulf's bounty. Houston chefs, unburdened by the specific regional traditions of Creole or Cajun cooking, adopted a more is more philosophy. They started with the holy trinity of onion, celery, and bell pepper, but then they threw in the entire Gulf. Houston gumbo is often defined by its sheer, unapologetic quantity of seafood. We're talking pots loaded with shrimp, overflowing with crab, and packed with oysters and drumfish. It's less about following specific rules and more about celebrating the coastal harvest. This Gulf-heavy approach results in a broth that is intensely briny and rich, a flavor profile that is distinctly Houston. It's a gumbo that tastes like the city feels, big, bold, and a little bit extra. It's not about replacing the Louisiana classic. It's about creating a sibling, born of the same roots, but raised with that unmistakable Houston swagger. Houston-style queso. Next up is the golden elixir of Tex-Mex, the undisputed champion of chip dipping, chile con queso. Every Texan city has its own version, but Houston's is in a category all its own. While the origins of melting cheese for a dip are a bit murky, Houston is where it was arguably perfected into the creamy, stable, and endlessly adaptable bowl of goodness we know and love today. The secret isn't some artisanal, hard-to-find cheese. The magic of Houston queso lies in its embrace of processed American cheese. Why? Because in Houston's notorious humidity, fancier cheeses can break, becoming oily and stringy. Processed cheese, however, provides a flawlessly smooth and creamy base that holds up to the heat and never disappoints. It's a testament to Houston's pragmatism, function and flavor over pretense. But the base is just the beginning. Restaurants like Molina's Cantina, a Houston institution since 1941, help define the city's style. They enrich the melted cheese with a host of other ingredients, fresh tomatoes, green chilies, and often a generous scoop of seasoned ground beef, a creation known as Jose's dip. Other variations around the city might include roasted poblanos or diced jalapenos, turning up the heat and complexity. It's the perfect, crowd-pleasing appetizer, a communal pot of liquid happiness that is pure, unadulterated Houston comfort. Breakfast tacos. Let's talk about a food so essential to Texas mornings that it causes statewide debate, the breakfast taco. While cities like Austin and San Antonio have fierce claims to this dish, Houston's role in its rise is undeniable and deeply connected to another one of our culinary legends. The story of the modern breakfast taco is fundamentally tied to the rise of the taqueria and the availability of one key ingredient: fresh, hot flour tortillas. In the 1970s, as Houston's Tex-Mex scene exploded, so did the demand for high-quality, house-made tortillas. A certain woman you'll hear more about later, Ninfa Lorenzo, was at the forefront of this revolution with her family's tortilla factory. The widespread availability of these soft, pliable flour tortillas created the perfect vessel for a portable morning meal. Mexican-American workers had long been wrapping leftovers in tortillas for breakfast, but it was in the taquerias of Texas cities that the codified breakfast taco was born. A simple and brilliant combination of scrambled eggs with classic Tex-Mex ingredients. What makes the Houston breakfast taco scene so vibrant is the sheer variety. You move beyond the standard bacon, egg, and cheese and into a world of chorizo and egg, potato and egg, chicharrones, barbacoa, and migas, all lovingly wrapped in that warm flour tortilla. It's a dish that reflects the city's working-class roots and its blend of cultures. It's fast, affordable, and endlessly customizable. While the who invented it first debate will likely rage on forever, Houston's role in popularizing this morning staple through its burgeoning taqueria culture and its mastery of the flour tortilla is a critical chapter in the breakfast taco's history. Texas-style Savory Kolache. Houston also put its unique stamp on a breakfast pastry that got a complete Texas makeover, the Savory Kolache. The original kolache arrived in Texas with Czech immigrants in the 1800s. These were beautiful, pillowy yeast dough pastries with a dollop of sweet filling in the center, traditionally fruit like prune or apricot. They were a taste of home, a cherished piece of their heritage preserved in the bakeries of Central Texas's Czech Belt. But in Texas, culinary traditions have a way of colliding and evolving. The purely Texan innovation, the one that turned a sweet pastry into a savory breakfast powerhouse, is the sausage-filled version, properly called a klobasnek. One of the strongest claims to its invention comes from the Village Bakery in West Texas back in the 1950s. The story goes that the owner decided to wrap a link of sausage in that soft, slightly sweet kolache dough, and a handheld, savory star was born. Houston, however, is where this concept was taken to the next level and truly franchised for the masses. The founding of the Houston-based Kolache factory in 1982 was a game-changer. They didn't just sell the classic sausage and cheese, they started experimenting with a wild variety of fillings that catered to the Texan palate. Soon, you could find kolaches stuffed with jalapeno sausage, ham and Swiss, and even fillings like chicken enchilada or pepperoni pizza. This Houston-led expansion helped turn the Savory Kolache from a regional specialty into a statewide and even national phenomenon. It's a perfect example of Houston taking a beloved tradition and making it bigger, bolder, and ready for the drive-thru. Cookies and cream ice cream. Now, let's scoop into a story that's as murky and contested as it is delicious: cookies and cream ice cream. This one is a global superstar, but while several people and places claim to have invented it, Houston plays a pivotal, if often overlooked, role as the spark that lit the commercial fire. The invention is claimed by everyone from an ice cream consultant to South Dakota State University, but the company that truly brought cookies and cream to the masses and made it a household name is Texas's own Blue Bell Creameries. As the story is often told, a Blue Bell employee visited a small, independent ice cream parlor in Houston in the late 1970s and tasted a spectacular creation: vanilla ice cream mixed with crushed Oreo cookies. Recognizing a hit, Blue Bell went to work. They were the first major company to mass-produce the flavor, calling it cookies and cream, and launching it in 1980. They even filed for a trademark in 1981, but it was ultimately denied because the name was considered too generic. While Blue Bell themselves have waffled over the years on whether they invented or simply pioneered the flavor, their action is what truly matters. They saw a brilliant idea born in a Houston parlor, recognized its massive potential, and used their production power to put it in grocery store freezers across the country. So, while Houston may not have the official patent, it was the city's anonymous creativity that inspired the commercial launch of one of America's all-time favorite ice cream flavors. All right, we've covered some incredible stories so far. If your mind is blown and your stomach is rumbling, do us a favor and hit that like button. Now, which of these stories has surprised you the most so far? Let us know in the comments below. Shipley Donuts. Our next entry is a Houston institution that has been satisfying sweet cravings since 1936. Shipley Donuts. In the world of breakfast pastries, creating a simple glazed donut might not seem like rocket science. But creating a glazed donut that could survive the oppressive, swampy humidity of a Houston summer, that was an act of pure genius. The story begins with Lawrence Shipley Sr. He founded the company in 1936, first opening a wholesale bakery on Crockett Street. He faced a unique challenge in Houston. The thick, humid air would cause the glaze on his donuts to melt and weep, turning his perfect pastries into a sticky mess. So he went to work, tinkering with his recipe until he developed a dough that was not only light and fluffy, but also engineered to hold its glaze perfectly, no matter the weather. This wasn't just a recipe, it was a feat of culinary engineering. He first sold his cream-glazed donuts wholesale for a mere 5 cents a dozen. The first retail shop didn't open until the mid-1940s, selling single donuts and coffee to a growing legion of fans. From that single humidity-hacking recipe, Shipley built an empire. Every time you bite into that perfectly glazed, pillowy donut that doesn't melt in your hands, you're tasting a piece of delicious Houston ingenuity. The Houston Poboy. This next sandwich dared to defy a Louisiana legend. When you hear po' boy, you probably picture a hot sandwich on crusty French bread, overflowing with fried shrimp or roast beef. But in Houston, one of our most iconic sandwiches is a po' boy that breaks all the rules, and it comes from Anton's famous po' boys. The story starts in 1962 with Jalal Anton, the son of Lebanese and Syrian immigrants. He opened Anton's Import Company on Taft Street, initially wanting to sell Middle Eastern cuisine to Houston's growing immigrant community. However, the story goes, he was advised that the local palate might not be ready for it. So he focused on sandwiches, but kept the imported goods on the shelves, creating an exotic grocery store meets deli that was unlike anything else in the city. His signature creation, the original po' boy, was a radical departure from the New Orleans classic. It was served cold. Instead of fried seafood, it was layered with ham, salami, and provolone. And most importantly, it featured a secret weapon, chow chow. This tangy, pickled cabbage relish provided a sharp, acidic crunch that cut through the richness of the meat and cheese, all slathered with mayo on soft po' boy bread. It became an instant hit, an affordable, delicious, and uniquely Houston sandwich. The Anton's Cold Po' Boy is a monument to immigrant adaptation and culinary creativity, a beloved piece of Houston's food DNA. Viet Cajun Crawfish. Next up, we have a dish that is arguably Houston's most significant culinary innovation of the 21st century. Viet Cajun Crawfish. This is a story of cultural collision, resilience, and the delicious result that put Houston on the global food map. The story begins in Louisiana, home of the traditional Cajun crawfish boil. Following the fall of Saigon in 1975, a large population of Vietnamese refugees settled along the Gulf Coast, including Houston. With a climate similar to their homeland and a diet rich in seafood, they quickly adopted the local tradition of crawfish boils. But they didn't just adopt it, they transformed it. The fusion wasn't instantaneous, it was a gradual evolution. By the early 2000s, a new style began to emerge from the kitchens and backyards of Houston's Vietnamese community. They started with the foundational Cajun spices, but then they added the vibrant, aromatic flavors of Southeast Asia, tossing the boiled crawfish in pungent garlic butter, fragrant lemongrass, and zesty citrus. The result was a flavor explosion unlike anything before it. It was spicier, richer, and more complex. A multi-layered taste experience where you didn't just suck the head, you savored the sauce clinging to every inch of the shell. This fusion wasn't a calculated culinary trend. It was a natural evolution, born from a community making a tradition their own. Restaurants like Crawfish and Noodles helped codify and popularize the style, turning this grassroots creation into a full-blown phenomenon. Now, food lovers from around the world flock to Houston to experience this unique flavor, a perfect symbol of modern Houston, a city where immigrant cultures don't just coexist, they collaborate to create something entirely new and incredibly delicious. The Anton's Cold Cut Sandwich. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, didn't we just do Anton's? And you're right. But we need to talk about the other legendary sandwich that defines Anton's and highlights a different side of its inventive spirit. While the original Poboy became the grab-and-go icon, the original deli sandwiches tell a story of pure, on-the-fly entrepreneurship. Let's go back to Jalal Anton's import shop in the 1960s. The place was an exotic wonderland filled with imported cheeses, olives, and meats. While the Poboy was a standardized, high-volume hit, the deli counter offered a more improvisational experience. Here, Jalal and his team would craft sandwiches based on what they had and what customers wanted. This is where the classic Anton's Cold Cut Sandwich takes shape. Unlike the specific formula of the original Poboy, these sandwiches were more of a glorious pile-up of deli excellence. Imagine that soft bread, slathered generously with mayo and mustard. Then comes the layering: salami, ham, provolone, maybe some other imported meats, and the signature crunch of pickles. It was less about a single trademarked recipe and more about the ethos of the deli itself: abundance, quality, and a touch of that Lebanese hospitality. It's messy, it's unapologetically flavorful, and it represents the heart of the original Anton's import company. It's Houston deli counter poetry.
Fajitas. And here it is, the dish that defines Houston innovation. It sizzles, it smokes, and it turned Tex-Mex dining into a theatrical event. We're talking about fajitas. Now, for the nuance. The concept of grilling skirt steak, the faja, or little belt of meat, has roots with Mexican vaqueros in the Rio Grande Valley. But the dish we know today, the sizzling platter served with tortillas and all the fixings, was born right here in Houston, out of desperation and genius. The year is 1973. Mama Ninfa Lorenzo, a widow with 5 children, is on the verge of bankruptcy. Her family's tortilla factory is failing. With everything on the line, she carves out a tiny 10-table restaurant in the front of her struggling factory on Navigation Boulevard. She takes a humble, tough cut of meat, outside skirt steak, that was traditionally considered throwaway, marinates it to tender perfection, grills it, and serves it with the fresh flour tortillas from her factory. She called them tacos al carbón, which would soon become known as fajitas. The flavor was incredible, but the presentation was pure theater. The steak was brought out on a scorching hot cast-iron platter, still sizzling and smoking, a spectacle that turned every head in the tiny restaurant. Downtown lawyers and local families flocked to her restaurant. The sizzling fajita became an overnight sensation, first in Houston, then across Texas, and eventually the world. Ninfa Lorenzo didn't just create a dish, she created an experience. She transformed a cheap cut of meat into a premium menu item through sheer culinary brilliance and showmanship, saving her family and launching a global phenomenon from a tiny corner of Houston. So there you have it. From the humidity-proof glaze of a Shipley's donut
to the sizzle that saved ninfas. Houston's food history is a story of innovation born from necessity. It's a story told by a Lebanese immigrant flipping the script on a Louisiana sandwich, by Vietnamese refugees reinventing the crawfish boil, and by a Czech pastry getting a Texan-sized savory upgrade. These 10 foods prove our point. Houston's greatest secret ingredient has always been its people. The grit, the fusion of cultures, and the relentless drive to create something new is what defines this city's flavor. Houston didn't just put a man on the moon, it put fajitas on practically every Tex-Mex menu on the planet. What's your favorite Houston food story? Is there a hidden gem we missed? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you want to keep digging into the secret histories behind the world's most fantastic foods, make sure you subscribe to Fantastic Food Files and ring that bell so you don't miss our next delicious episode. Thanks for watching.